Okay, this presentation is for my BI translators. What I decided to do as an improvement, and this will be the way I'm going to do it from now on, is every talk I'm going to record a very fast video of the presentation that I'm going to make so you can become familiarized with it so that you know approximately what I will be saying when I'm speaking. Now, I'm going to do this very quickly. I will not do it this fast in person. So here we go. This is called Banish Sloppiness Intro. So, welcome to Japan. And the Japan study mission will start in 5 minutes. So, the first thing we do when we walk into the conference room is you will look out the window and you will look at a premier job site that is the tallest building being built in Tokyo in Japan currently. And I have everyone stand there for 10 minutes and look outside and tell me what they see. They have to take notes about the quality of the construction site, how things are operated, the processes, and so forth. And when everyone finished after 10 minutes, I was setting up my presentation. I asked, what do you see? And this answer came back from Oljas that was amazing. He said, I see the future. Because he said, this is what the BI group should look like. So this was a phenomenal response. And this is how I'm going to start the talk. I'm going to ask people, what do they see? And everyone's going to tell me. And then I'm going to say, Oljas said he saw the future. So this is amazing. So this entire trip is about contrast. We're going to be contrasting what you experience in Kazakhstan at the BI group comparatively to in Japan. And I showed you this picture. I took this beautiful picture of everyone, but I took a bad picture, and hopefully you will begin to see the importance of contrast, what you're doing and what they're doing. So I've had over 40 countries in Japan. I've trained over 800 leaders from all over the world. It's been an amazing experience. Top leaders from companies from $1 million companies to $1 billion companies. And what this trip is all about is getting people to recognize that the goal of all of us should be to banish sloppiness and fall in love with precision. And in doing so, you're going to be able to contrast what the Japanese are doing so you can level up. Now, I came here 23 years ago. That's me in the very, very back hiding. And I was blown away by what I saw, and I realized immediately I needed to level up. I was way behind what the Japanese were doing. So my first book, 2 Second Lean, is 1.0. My second book is 2.0. This is a much more advanced understanding of lean as a result of me being 23 years in Japan and really understanding deeply what the Japanese were doing and how they were able to accomplish so much with so little. But in order to do this, you must have the correct attitude towards learning. And so we practice this little thing, Karitsu Yosuke Onigaishimasu, and we have everyone practice this and stand up, and we'll run through that. Now, when you come here, you must be humble. You have to be prepared to learn with a humble attitude. If you come here with a critical attitude, oh, the Japanese are not that good, you're going to completely miss what's going on. So check the criticism. What you do need to do is have big eyes and big ears, because everywhere you look, there will be opportunities to see things that you've never seen before. For instance, I walked into a grocery store, and when I walked in,
Now, great
I couldn't believe
that you're showing us. If you want to be a good leader,
really
you have to
awesome.
have big ears and big eyes.
So I learned this
to
from
observe
Richard
what's
Shingo,
going on. I want
and
to
he taught me to come in here
Japan.
and watch this. So when you go to this grocery store, you notice how small the checkout stands are, and you notice that there's 3 different areas. First, you come in, she transfers everything from one basket to the next basket. Then she pushes you forward to a place where you can check out, and the checkout area is whatever's available. So she pushes a little button and on lights, and that light tells you where to go. And then when you're done, you just go up to the front and pack all the goods. The advantage to this is simply that there is no bottleneck. There's no line, because it frees up all the resources in sequence of demand. And this is very, very unusual. And you'll see these kinds of things in Japan all the time. So the next thing is take notes. As I explained to you in the first opening day, notes are very important. And the next thing is absolutely no excuses. Japan was completely decimated in 1945 at the end of the war. There was nothing left, and today it is literally the most advanced society in the world. And there's nothing more.
Simon Kuznets, the winner of the 1971 Nobel Prize in Economics, has distinguished himself by dividing the world's countries into four distinct economic categories: the developed countries, the developing countries, and Japan and Argentina.
So this is a great contrast because Argentina is rich in resources. Japan has no resources. Japan has tens of millions of people. Argentina has 14 million people. And they completely squandered the entire thing. And Kazakhstan, not that you're squandering it, but it's a similar situation. Much bigger land, much better resources, much less people, but yet Japan is way more advanced. So it's a real challenge to you to think about how you proceed forward, how important efficiency is.
Well, the first two have become common knowledge. The latter two are a textbook example of how two political systems can lead to two different outcomes in economic development. After World War II, Japan, which lacked resources and energy, embraced the democratic constitutionalism that was advocated by the United States based on the values of human rights and freedom. Japan rose rapidly from the ashes to rank among the top developed countries, becoming a miracle of economic growth. While Argentina, which was blessed with a wide range of economic resources, performed another kind of miracle, falling rapidly from being a rich top 10 economy to poverty.
Very interesting contrast. So here we go. Kazakhstan is 7 times bigger than Japan. Yep, 7 times bigger than Japan. And lots of oil, lots of resources, and Japan has no oil and very little resources. So 19 million versus 127 million, the burden is much greater on Japan. How have they done this? It's incredible. So hold that contrast. And Einstein said questions are what smart people do. So you need to ask lots of questions. So when I'm speaking and you have a question, you interrupt me. Do not ever hesitate to interrupt me. Because I learned this concept actually from Richio Shingo. He said you always want to ask questions of your people and get your people to ask questions because that's how we know what they're thinking. That's how we can evaluate their processes, their processing of information, and their advancement of learning by getting people to answer questions and ask questions. So who are the Japanese people? They are extraordinary. They're both very serious about work and they have a tremendous amount of fun. So this is a quick little video of a mother and a son getting ready in the morning, applying Kaizen to the way they get ready. And you can see the Japanese are hysterical. They're not always just very serious, even though they're very serious people. But they know how to have fun too. It's game on, game off. They actually have a word for this that's called Neri Hadi. Neri Hadi means game on, you're working, or have fun. Neri Hadi. It's an amazing concept, and the Japanese do it magically. And you see this everywhere. You watch Japanese TV, and they're either petting cats or watching cats or doing crazy stuff like this. Okay, there we go. Who are the Japanese people? You go to a baseball game, innovation everywhere. They have a totally great time. They're completely engaged. They're not little robots sitting there. People think Japanese are robots. They are not crazy.
It is unbelievable.
And you go to baseball games and have probably the best time of your life. They celebrate respectfully.
It's just the craziest thing ever. And then they have the
got these girls going around with beer on their back. Everything's just it's amazing. But yet when you go to the job sites, the Japanese people, you have one little mistake, everyone comes running. Why is there a defect? They're very serious. So we see this contrast, quality and speed. I know at one point the BI group was all about how fast we can get projects built. And I said, don't do it. You're going to have a problem. You need to focus on quality. And indeed, the problem started occurring. And you remember these incidents. These were very serious. You must focus on quality. Speed is not the answer. And this is not the way Japan advanced. So you see very unusual things. You walk into a store and you'll see someone dusting the back of the shelf. It's like crazy that anybody would even care about that, because they're very concerned about details. There's a time and a place. There's a time to have fun, and there's a time to be serious, and they certainly know how to do that. Some Japanese researchers asked the question, are computers male or female? This is a good example of their humor, and they said, definitely, the women said they're male, because you realize that if you would have waited just a little bit longer, you could have got a much better model. And of course, the men said they're female, because every mistake you make is stored on their hard drive for future retrieval. So who are the Japanese people? They know how to have fun. They're a great sense of humor, and they enjoy life. But at the same time, they're very serious. This is Richie Oshingo, the former president of Toyota China, at my factory for 2 days, sitting on a plastic stool. This is the president of Toyota China, the son of Shigeo Shingo, sitting with an 18-year-old solving a problem, not for 5 minutes for a photo op. For 2 days, he worked with him.
I want you to meet my good friend.
And this is Richie Oshingo. I brought him all over the world, into the United States, to many factories.
Full of wisdom that travels
he's
around the
very
world, dispensing his concepts and ideas to companies to help them to grow and improve. And he especially loves to go to the Gemba. He loves to go to the shop floor. But during the daytime, he is a mild-mannered man with great wisdom. But at night, he hits the dance floor, and it's the Shingo Shuffle, and baby, everybody gets into it because he is a rockin' machine.
Game on. Mary Hottie. Okay, who are the Japanese people? Ron's worked for Toyota for 22 years. He is from Canada. Asked him a question, what are your favorite things about Toyota and Japan? And this was his answer.
Ron, my question for you is, what are the 3 favorite things about living in Japan and 3 favorite things working for Toyota?
They're probably almost the same. My 3 favorite things about living in Japan are that the Japanese people are so conscientious. And conscientious means not only that you do your best, but you're aware of what are the standards around you, either in your competing businesses or around the world. And you always keep trying to rise yourself up to that standard. That's something I love about Japan. Number 2, we have a real sense for the customer. We have an expression, omotenashi, which means that a spirit of hospitality. Everything that we should do should reflect that spirit of hospitality. And number 3, this is a wonderfully innovative place, even though we're tradition bound. So you're here every day, as I am here in Japan every day, and I'm feeling the traditions, and I'm supported by the traditions. But at the same time, these people have space somewhere in their heart to innovate. You know, one of the most famous expressions when you watch a commercial is, it's a new product. That's all you ever hear is, it's a new product. So how they combine both tradition and innovation is one of the great things about Toyota and Japan.
What a fantastic answer. I didn't expect that. Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
You're
Thank
awesome.
you.
So there you go. The 3 characteristics that define Japan and the Japanese people. So you see this level of innovation. This is a farmer who developed a system for planting lettuce with no power. Completely an amazing innovation. And the precision is mind-boggling.
This tool is major game changer on our farm. It's turning an hour of work into minutes.
An hour of work into minutes. This is why Japan is Japan.
I plant about...
And yet you walk down the street in Tokyo and you see ladies cleaning the street. This is not in front of their house. This is the neighborhood. This is what they do. This is called soju. This is that conscientiousness that Ron was talking about. And look at the detail they're paying attention to. This small weed. This is Japan, and you see this everywhere. And indeed, I was walking down the street the other day in Tokyo, and I saw a gardener pulling a weed out with a pair of tweezers. And then, of course, there's the old multinational.
One of my favorite things about
this
Japan
real
is
sense of the customer. You feel
real
this
sense
everywhere
of
you
the
go.
customer.
You're at the
Taking a
airport,
plane.
they're waving goodbye to you. They're bowing to the
very
plane.
common.
You
You leave a
and the
major
same
company
thing
and the president,
when
the
you leave
general
the
manager,
company.
everybody stands out and waves at you.
We have a real sense for the customer.
Okay, and you've heard Ron talk about that. And then the next concept is what they teach the children in school. There are two concepts. And this is Ganbarimasu, I will do my best. And Yakusuka Momoru, I will keep my promise. These two concepts are pounded into the heads of the Japanese children. And you can understand why the work ethic is so high and why the performance is at this incredible level, because they're thinking, I'm going to do my best and I will keep my promise. This is the way they think. And it's just amazing.
So have you ever delayed Toyota's production? Have you ever had a problem where Toyota, you didn't
Have
meet
you
the
ever stopped the
production
Toyota
schedule?
line?
I believe 10 or 15 years ago, we had heavy snow in Miharu area, and we had the risk to stop the Toyota line, and at that time we used the helicopter to deliver.
I will keep my promise. See, they're not going to. They've never stopped the Toyota production line. Not like once a day, not once a week, once a month, maybe once a year. Never stop the Toyota production line. This is the thinking. I will keep my promise. Now, I've had 5 amazing teachers for the last 23 years in Japan. Richio Shingo, former president of Toyota China, Mr. Amazawa, former president of Georgetown, Kentucky in the United States, one of the most important plants in all of Toyota. Vice president of Lexus, Mr. Umemura, one of the top 2-tier suppliers in Toyota ecosystem, Norman Bodak, who brought lean thinking to the United States, a very close friend of mine, Mr. Yoshino, for 40 years. For the last 40 years, he's been working with Toyota, and he created the transformation at the Numi plant in the United States. These are important figures, both historically and important figures in my life. All these men have made a tremendous impact on me and taught me everything, basically, that I'm going to be sharing with you on this journey. So a little overview, general information of Japan. It's a very small country. When you overlay it over the United States, it's absolutely minuscule by comparison, but yet the second largest economy for many, many years. Now, they have to feed all these people on the usable land the size of West Virginia. So they have very little usable land because it's all mountainous. So they have to be very, very efficient and effective with everything they do. Some general information, the economy grew at 435% between 1955 and 1975. This is the only country in the history of the world to ever grow at this point. This has never been repeated in human history. And their economy is almost twice as big as California. California is like the 7th biggest economy in the world. The economy is almost twice as big. These are amazing statistics. And some general information, there are 4 major islands. We're going to be on the island of Honshu for this trip. You can see it there. And Tokyo is 37 million people. This is where the major population centers are, these red marks, because the rest of it's mountainous. It's very difficult to fit people there. And Nagoya is 9 million. Tokyo is 37 million. And then in Nagoya, they've actually made a man-made island just for the airport. It's just pretty spectacular. The same thing in Osaka they've done as well. And so we're going to be traveling to Nagoya on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We'll be in Nagoya, and this red line represents Toyota City. So this is the birthplace of Toyota. This is where Sakichi Toyota started the whole thing in Nagoya, and then Kiichiro bought all the land, bought a ton of land and the outskirts of Nagoya, and that became Toyota City, where the majority of Toyota's factories are located. Then Kyushu is a southernmost island. Actually, there's more. Okinawa is even more southern, but the southern of the 4 big islands, Kyushu, and this is the home of Lexus. This is where Mr. Amazawa was the vice president of Lexus. Now, I have been all over Japan. I have been to hundreds and hundreds of cities. I've traveled to more places in Japan than probably 90% of all the Japanese people. So I know this country very well. I've been to the furthest most northern islands as well as the furthermost southern islands. And I have traveled by boat, by train, by motorcycle, all over this amazing country. So I know the country very, very well. So that gives you a nice overview of Japan, just an introduction to understanding some of the basics, and we will continue this talk as we go along.